A terror to Australia was the wild colonial boy.
After the raids at Tonamble and Gumbidgewa and the continued strong police patrols, often passing close to the observing bushrangers, Ben Hall, Gilbert and Dunn, as on many occasions before, separated on the 29th of April 1865, with plans to meet again on the 3rd or 4th of May at the Billabong. Ben Hall headed southwest on a last farewell to his close friends, including Ellen Maguire and Susan Pryor, plus numerous others who had aided him, and to once more see his son Henry, who was living with Bridget and James Taylor, the man she took up with after their failed marriage, and who were residing at Humbug Creek on the edge of the Bland Plains. Hall, knowing that his only course for a future life was to flee New South Wales, and after his friendly encounter and playful time with the cropper's son, would no doubt wish a last farewell to his own son Henry, now nearly 6 years old, and to ensure that Taylor would do his best for the lad, a role he knew was beyond himself. Hall, although by now notorious as a bushranger, had at times visited Bridget and Henry during these days, sometimes with Gilbert accompanying him, and at first, as most men do, felt anger and animosity toward Taylor, as witnessed by John Maguire, Hall's Sandy Creek partner, and Hall even threatened Taylor on occasions. Hall felt that Taylor, who worked for the Walshes and himself as a stockman at one time, was the cause of his marriage failure, and not his own thoughtlessness, criminal friendships and actions. Time was catching up with him, and the possibility of never seeing his family and friends again weighed heavily on his mind. As Ben Hall conducted his farewells, a close and trusted friend, Michael Connolly, who had known Hall and Gilbert for years and in the past had given them shelter, aid and comfort, and in whose company the bushrangers had the complete confidence of safety, was in the process of the greatest crime of humankind, betrayal for reward, a man's life for easy blood money. Michael Connolly was married to one of the Strickland sisters and living primarily at the good grace of his brother-in-law in a shanty on the Billabong property. Connolly saw the golden opportunity for instant wealth and would no longer have to live at the behest of his wife's brother. So in keeping his cards close to his chest, set about contacting Inspector Davidson at Forbes with his first-hand knowledge of Ben Hall and Company's future plans and the thought of £3,000 reward on their heads. Connolly's arrangement with Davidson was one of total anonymity. As if it was leaked that he was the informant, retribution would be swift, as Hall still had many loyal friendships around the Western Districts, and these kinds of betrayals were seen as the lowest of the low, and the shunning, even killing of such informants was possible. So Connolly needed to move quietly in his dealings with the inspector. Davidson, acting on Connolly's information that the three bushrangers would return to his home around the 3rd or 4th of May, assembled 5 officers and 2 black trackers. They were Sergeant Condell, who had been wounded at Eugara during Gardiner's robbery of the Gold Escort in 1862, Constables Caban, Hipkiss, Boland and Buckley, with the Aboriginal trackers Billy Dargin, a long-time foe of Hall's, and Charlie. For maximum money of £1,500, Connolly was banking on all 3 bushrangers arriving together. Davidson assembled a formidable arsenal of weapons, made up of their police-issue 6-shot Colt revolvers, 5 double-barrel shotguns, 3 Colt revolving rifles, of which the shotguns were not standard police-issue weapons. Davidson rode out of Forbes at 4 o'clock on the morning of the 29th of April with his party dressed in civilian attire, and headed northeast from Forbes, and travelling carefully so as not to raise suspicion, and to cover the possibility of their tracks being discovered, circled around to arrive at the northern end of the Billabong property, where they set up their camp in thick scrub to await the informer Connolly's next message.
But a bullet pierced his brave young heart from the pistol of Fitzroy, and that was how they captured him, the wild